Hey everybody, welcome to a very special, not episode, but part of episode 110 of the Toys for Games podcast. This is not going to be a full show, and to be honest, I don't even know if I'm going to edit this into the beginning of whenever episode 110 takes place, or the end, or somewhere in the middle. Regardless, I am here to do an interview about a new and exciting thing in sort of the Toys to Life genre, but more of like an evolution of the Toys to Life genre. We have covered the evolution and the growth so far over the last year specifically, and we have somebody else entering the space that we're very excited to talk to and get to know. Joining me tonight is Phil from SwapBots. Hi, Phil. How are you doing?
Oh, hi. It's brilliant to be here.
What is your official position or title with SwapBots?
Well, my position, I'm sitting down at the moment. But yeah, my title, okay, that's a tough one. We'll go with PR and marketing and business development. Basically, anything that doesn't require some actual real skills and training.
Sure, you would be the guy that would normally be holding somebody back as they're giving an interview and trying to keep them from saying the top secret stuff.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. Except, I'll usually blab it because I get so enthusiastic, and I will just start telling everybody all our dirty little secrets, I guess. So, yeah, I suppose I should be doing that.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a pleasure to have you on because we're going to get all the dirty little secrets about SwapBots here tonight. We tried to have a part of the team with you, and that didn't work out. They had a very important top secret meeting to go to. So hopefully at some other point we could have some of the developers and the guys with the real talents on the show. But you will do fine tonight, Phil.
Absolutely, yeah. I know the product inside out, and I basically am very, very enthusiastic about what you do as well. I think it's incredible covering this genre that is pushing the boundaries of what play is.
Right, yeah, we're excited. We have briefly mentioned SwapBots a few different times on our show. I've kind of been waiting for you guys to get to a position where you felt good to talk about it. You have now since launched your Kickstarter. You've been at GDC. You're on the West Coast. You are down in San Francisco. You would normally be in the UK somewhere. So I had to take the opportunity to talk to you tonight because time zones are very difficult to maneuver halfway across the world.
They are, yeah. We've been through a few recently. Obviously, we are from the UK. We're from Liverpool, is where we're based. And yeah, we basically have been in the last few weeks. I say we. That's the royal we. It hasn't been myself, but started out in China, basically going to watch the SwapBots toys.
Oh wow!
Made, which was incredible. Then over to New York for Toy Fair, where we were exhibiting with Euphoria and with Creator, who are manufacturing our toy. Of course, as some of you will know, they manufacture Skylanders, amongst other things. And yeah, then across to GDC in San Francisco, that's where we launched the Kickstarter. So that's what we've been doing here. So the Kickstarter is live now, and you can back us right now, www.swapbots.co/Kickstarter. And then, yeah, we're heading down to South by Southwest next.
Okay.
So it's a delegation of UK startups. So if you're at South by Southwest and you see some people holding giant cardboard robots, yes.
It should be you. Let's hope it's you.
Robots are holding us, and it's the other way around. We might just as a kind of crutch as we get. It sounds like a bit of an endurance test, South by Southwest.
Oh yeah.
Of a conference is, it's a long time.
So now that you're worldly traveled here with SwapBots, and the dust is starting to settle on the launch of the Kickstarter, now is the prime opportunity to finally talk to you guys and to get the elevator pitch about what SwapBots is, what it's going to be. And, this is your opportunity right now to tell our entire community about SwapBots.
Okay, well, your community certainly knows about the joys of Toys to Life, but where SwapBots stands out, obviously we're using augmented reality to bring the toys to life. Now, of course, we've seen that with some other products, but it tends to be, with some of the other products, we'll tend to refer to it as scan to play, where you just basically scan the toy in, there'll be an animation attached to the toy, it comes to life, and then you play a relatively conventional video game. And we wanted something where it felt like the video game has escaped from the screen and it's right there in the room with you. So you can pick up the SwapBots and they're still animating and they're still coming alive. They're still, a video game character rather than just being a toy when you hold them and look through the screen. Now, it's also the big difference between what we're doing and the NFC-powered toys is that we're going for the mobile market. So we're going after phones and tablets. So obviously that makes it more accessible. There's all sorts of statistics out there about how many people, particularly children, have access to phones and tablets. And it's an overwhelming majority in Western countries. And yeah, so basically what we're doing is something rather different. And we are big believers in augmented reality. We truly think it's the technology that will change the world. And yeah, it's something really, really exciting and something that we're certainly finding a lot of people sharing our viewpoint on that.
Yeah. So, okay. So SwapBots is a augmented reality game. You're going to be playing it on tablets or smartphones. There's these toys. You need to tell us what the actual toys are. What are people going to be holding? What are they going to be collecting? What are they going to be swapping? I mean, swapping is in the name. You got to tell us what the swapping part is.
It is, yeah. I mean, we basically, I think we always enjoyed swapping football cards. That would be soccer, I think, in the US
yes.
here. But yeah, so I think that was kind of running through our heads when we were coming up with it. No, the toys are relatively simple plastic toys. So they come in 3 pieces: a head, a body, and a base. And you can swap each piece. And they are 3D. So again, you'll have seen augmented reality using markers that will tend to be, there's nothing wrong with this, we've developed this sort of thing before, but it will tend to be 2-dimensional. So if you picture Lego's Nexo Knights, they hold a 2-dimensional shield. We're talking about the entire figure is, apart from the base, because you can't see that with it being sat down, but all the other 5 sides of the toy, the top and all the sides, basically act as an augmented reality marker. So when you point the phone or tablet at it, the whole toy comes to life. It's absolutely stunning. The effect is incredible. And it still amazes me when I see it. And I don't know how many times I've seen it now. I've been working on it for a while. And to see a 3D augmented reality marker come to life just looks so cool. And so then you will swap parts of the toy, and different parts of the toy will have different attributes, different abilities. And there are a few different forms of gameplay. There's the kind of core gameplay is a battle mode. So you'll basically battle against friends, and you build your bot from 3 different pieces, and then you will use, there's a few different attacks. Each different piece has a different attack. You choose the power level of the attack. There are special moves, there are power-ups. And then you basically battle it out, and then at the end you are encouraged to swap the piece of the bot again to make an even better bot. And with our initial, at the Kickstarter launch, there are 9 toys. We have revealed 5 of them so far, and that makes for 729 combinations of toys. So you can get quite a lot out of, a relatively small amount of toys. So the possibilities are fascinating. There's also a few different one-player mini games as well that just exploit the joys of AR. So, of course, we know where the base of the toys are, so we basically can start to guess where the surface that they are sat on will be and start to have kind of creatures running around them and have a few other different forms of gameplay. Some of them feel a bit tower defense style, some of them a bit arcadey and fun. And, yeah, but it is a work in progress at the moment.
Sure. So when you put these 3 pieces together, each individual piece has animation attached to it when you scan it in, correct?
Yes, it does, and that's part of what makes it so clever. I mean, if there's anybody here who's worked with augmented reality before, you'll know that typically if you're doing marker-based AR, you only have 1 marker. And in this case, we have 3 different pieces, so they have to act as 1 marker. So we had to do some clever stuff. Luckily, I didn't have to do it, and I can't tell you exactly what it was, but it was very sophisticated stuff, sophisticated enough that we went to a couple of the big AR platforms and spoke to their engineers and said, is this possible? We want to put 3 pieces together to make this 1 character on screen. And they said, no, you've just got to keep a marker solid and whole. And now it's something that Nexo Knights have done. There's I can't think what they're called now, but they've got the three-piece shield now. So I think it's something that, other people started to cotton on to, that you can actually have multiple markers on screen at once and actually do something with that. So yeah, it's basically you build a toy, and we limit it to 3 pieces simply because that suits the camera well. So if you started to go, okay, let's build the bots. They're basically a cube shape each piece. Mm-hmm. And if you kept building the cubes, in theory, you could just keep going and build a 6-foot tall SwapBot. But obviously, you'd have to pan so far away with your device. You wouldn't be near it for playing. It wouldn't be within easy reach to change pieces of it. And part of the gaming mechanic is to change those pieces with physical play. We don't want it where the toys just sit at the bottom of a toy box once they've been scanned in. I'll play a lot of Toy to Life products where it does effectively scan it in. You don't need to go back to the toy again, really. And we wanted to avoid that. We wanted it where between every go, you are encouraged to go back and build a better bot. So literally to drop the screen, stop looking at the screen, and go and pick that toy up and go and put another piece on it. So yeah, we kept it to 3 just to keep it simple. But the amount of combinations you can get from 3 pieces once you have a few toys, it's incredible.
Sure. Now, this is going to be a weird question, but, I'm thinking kids using this and getting creative with it. Do you have to have 3 pieces every time you scan it in, or will individual or double pieces work as well?
3 pieces every time.
Okay. So it won't even let you even try it out.
Yeah, things will happen. But the UI is kind of based around having 3 pieces, and yeah, you can put 1 piece in front and it will do a little something, but
sure.
Yeah, you basically need 3 pieces.
Okay, fair enough. Like you said, you've announced 5 characters so far.
Yes.
There's Kabuto, Griff, Octo, Macho, and Drago.
There is indeed.
There's 4 more left. When are those being announced?
They're being announced weekly during the Kickstarter. So by the end of it, the Kickstarter started March 1st, so it's running until April I can't remember the date. But anyway,
I think it's 35 days from today.
Yes. So basically, it's going to be mid-April, and we're going to be revealing 1 a week.
Okay.
I've got to say, Drago's my favourite. I was chuffed with that. That was revealed the other day, and that's.
Yeah.
I think that's a lovely looking character. Obviously, I've seen it for quite a while on the drawing board. We have, because it's in terms of the shapes, with them being a uniform shape each SwapBot, and it's really good because we've got these huge sheets in our studio where the designers have basically would produce these sheets with the 3 boxes to scale, and so they just play with each one and just design. And so there's so many designs, and straight away that one stood out. That was one of the where it was designed months ago now, and we just went, wow, it just works. So that really, really cool one revealing that. I don't know what's next, so I can't give you a preview of that.
Sure.
One of the perils of being far away from home, I haven't checked up on that. I don't know. There's probably another one in a week or so's time, and I don't know which one it will be.
So is Drago your favorite of the ones that's been revealed, or your favorite of the 9 you have planned so far?
Favorite so far, full stop. I love it.
The designs of the actual figures themselves, are we talking about artwork wrapped around the entire cube here, or is it just on the face of them?
No, it's a 5-sided 3D object. So yeah, it's on all sides of them, and that, as I say, makes for a more compelling experience, because it means while it's animated in augmented reality, you can turn the toy around, so you could have it in your hand, you can look at it from different angles, and that's really cool. Straight away, when people see the toys, they start to turn them around, they start to pick them up, because it's such an incredible novelty to actually be able to put your hands on a video game character and start to pick it up. And, it responds literally to, you can feel it in your hands. And yet it's such relatively simple technology. That sounds, I'm sure there's developers back at our place that will be saying simple, because it's not simple. But I mean, as in the hardware component parts are simple. So all of us, I'm literally holding right now a phone that can, deliver this sort of experience. And then obviously there's no technology in the toy itself. So it's basically, really sophisticated use of the software, but this is really accessible technology, but it has a real wow factor to it. And I think even though we're aiming this primarily, we're picturing it being aimed at 6 to 11-year-olds, but you never know who will buy the toy and who will be into it.
Sure.
But we're finding that kind of real technology savvy people have got so excited by it because it's totally different, because with a 2-dimensional marker, you will just leave it and you don't have an urge to touch it. When you see it's 3-dimensional, this 5-sided object where you can go all the way around it with the device, people are just picking it up and just having fun. And I think it's got that wow factor, and it fires up your imagination. You start to think, okay, what if, that's the glory of augmented reality, is it can turn anything into an interactive animated object.
Mm-hmm.
Me, it's been one of the most compelling examples. I've seen a lot. I've been, to so many trade shows and seen so many different things in the augmented reality industry that have amazed me. Some incredible stuff. And this is one of the best examples. And I know I'm biased. I know it's my but really it's so cool, and people just keep picking up the toy and getting really excited. So yeah, it is 3D, and it is all sides of the toy have the design on.
So because there's a design on each side, all the videos that I've seen, you're always scanning it into the front, like the face of the character. Is that necessary, or can you scan it in from any direction?
You can scan it in from other directions. It just feels natural to do it from facing.
Sure.
And you can do it from other directions.
I'm just asking because, sometimes, especially with augmented reality, getting it like perfectly positioned so the camera picks it up and it pops out just doesn't work always. So if you had to have it dead straight on, I could see there being some issues with not lining up correctly or whatever the case is. So
it's more a case of, I think, it's something where we've had that in mind, because you've got to bear in mind that children might be using it as well.
Yeah.
So you don't quite know. We've done some research around it, around how they will use tablets and phones slightly differently to the way the grown-ups will. So yeah, you don't have to have too much of a steady hand. It doesn't have to. You'll see there's a little outline for the syncing box where you sync the toy, where you scan it in, and we call that the swap scope. That's our kind of title for that. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, with that moment there, it doesn't have to be exactly fitting that box. No. Effectively, you just need, the camera just needs to focus on it and see it, and it will come to life.
Right. Okay, so I have a series of questions about the figures themselves because I'm fascinated by them. And this will really play into the collectors out there and the big kids that like to collect these things, and the kids also, because a lot of us are parents. But I want to know how, if you could tell me the secret, how they lock into place, whether or not the art is stickers on them or if they're printed right on the plastic, and then how heavy are these things? Because I like some heft to my toys. I like to feel like I'm holding something.
They're not too heavy.
Okay.
Because they're relatively simple. So, obviously there's no technology, there's no chips in them or anything like that. They're relatively lightweight. So it's really easy to just be pulled apart and for you to build a new bot really quickly. So think about them as just, if you picture Lego bricks that are that size, it's that sort of feel to them. It's and in terms of how it kind of works and how the gameplay works, you will scan the toy in. Typically, we find ourselves then placing the toy down on a solid surface, but it doesn't have to be like that. But that's typically how we find ourselves playing it. Sure. That seems to be the natural way, and when we tested with children, that's how it happens. And yeah, basically the idea is that you just keep returning to the toy. We're really concerned, we're parents. You were just mentioning, some of your listeners are parents, and it's something where my young lad is 2 years old, so he's at an age where he's picking up the iPad and he's starting to use it, and he's starting to, navigate YouTube all by himself and all that kind of thing. And John, one of the co-founders who came up with the concept, he's got 3 young boys who are all at, should we call them Skylanders age? I don't know if that's a term, but it's
sure.
They've got a lot of Skylanders, put it that way. And
we all do, don't worry.
Absolutely. Knocking about the studio. So yeah, we basically, it's something where we're really keen that the playing mechanic involve returning to the toy, not just scanning it in. So yeah, you would basically pick up the toy, you would build it, the 3 pieces, and then you would scan it, as you see that process in the videos, and the toy comes to life. You tend to place it back down on the table, and then in the battle mode, your opposition will appear next to it. So they'll appear side by side. You can either play a local 2-player game, or you can play a networked one. And the one you'll tend to see demoed will be the networked one, is what we tend to do. And yeah, it's something really, really exciting. And as I say, we feel that there's a lot of potential in this mode of gameplay that we're only just discovering.
Sure.
So, for example, there's a really nice playing mechanic that we're only just touching on this actually at the moment in development, and part of the Kickstarter, the idea behind it is to fund some of these kind of extra forms of play. And one of them is where you basically use the physical toy to solve puzzles. So you pick it up and you put on a corresponding piece that would crack a puzzle. So say if you go, okay, I can't get across this cliff edge, I've got to get from one place to the other and there's a big gap. So you would go and find a piece of a SwapBot that has wings. You go and put that on, and then you'd have the ability to fly. So you've solved the puzzle in the video game by moving away from the screen and starting to play with physical toys. Sure. So yeah, what it would kind of feel like to play is that you would constantly be returning to that toy instead of just scanning and just getting lost in the screen. Mm-hmm. I say for us as parents, we think that's really, really valuable to kind of keep that tactile play and not to keep staring into the screen constantly, to have a reason to leave that screen and to get your hands on something and to play with something physical all the time.
Do the pieces snap together pretty easily? Is there any difficulty with that?
Yeah, it's really satisfying. And that was kind of that was a real work in progress. That actually, that sort of thing just sounds like something that just happens, doesn't it? But it's quite a process. We started out. What an age we live in! What a time to be alive, as people say. With 3D printing, mm-hmm. because we bought a 3D printer and started to experiment with printing out the bots. We have many hundreds of them. That's might be an understatement. Maybe in the thousands by now. And we just kept printing different ways to attach them together. So different. In the end, we've got. I won't bore you with quite how they attach together, but it's really nice. So you can't put them in the wrong place. We kind of just design the connections, so it's not kind of universal. So they kind of stick together neatly. So you can only put the head on top, for example. And there was so many experiments with how that worked. And then, obviously, the process came where we had to find a manufacturer, and then the manufacturer had to take it off and manufacture our first pre-production prototypes. And I say we're working with Creator, who are the most incredible company based in Chicago. Amongst the many things that they've made over the years is Skylanders toys, but they make a lot. And they make an awful lot. It's in the billions that they make of toys. They are an astonishing company. And they... their first prototype that came back to us, we just felt it didn't fit quite right. The feel wasn't there, and it's very hard to describe that down a factory in China, something as intangible as that. Kind of going, we want it to feel like it clips together, just really, really nice feel to it.
You want the Lego feel, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You just want it to go together easily, but come apart easily, but still feel solid while it's together like that. Really kind of smooth action. So yeah, we basically we sent John on a mission to go to Shenzhen. So I'd say it's a Chicago headquartered company, but of course they manufacture in China. Mm-hmm. So he went out to Shenzhen, the kind of that is the kind of workhouse of the world, really, isn't it? The amount of products that come out of that city.
Yeah. And
he went out there, and it was incredible because he got to see the factory firsthand, see the people producing these toys, and it was an incredible experience. I was a little bit emotional, actually, seeing the video and stuff he sent me on WhatsApp and things, and of seeing our toys being made was quite incredible. How they'd gone from a sketch in a bar in San Francisco nearly 3 years ago. We first had the idea, and they've changed their form, and their overall concept has changed very little in that time. And it was just incredible to see them being made in a factory, and the people in there were so skilled. We're not just talking about turning on a machine and these come flying out. This, there is real effort that goes into making these toys. And our toys, as you will see if anybody, goes and looks at them online, if you go to SwapBots.co and have a look, they're a relatively simple shape. And still the skills that went into perfecting them was just incredible. And it was really lovely to have John there actually helping out, and basically he was there when we were first 3D printing these toys. He was here when we were first sketching these toys originally, and there he is as our first batch of toys come off the production line at Creators Factory in Shenzhen. So yeah, it was something that actually took an awful lot of effort. It sounds like a real throwaway thing. Oh, do they click together nicely? And actually that took an awful lot of effort from a lot of very skilled people to make that happen. And it's just amazing how that can be overlooked, can't it, when you just pick up a product, especially a simple plastic product, a toy. It's something where you just don't appreciate the amount of iterations and the amount of effort, the amount of experience that it takes. And we certainly don't have the experience of building this sort of thing. It's incredible the skills that were there and how well they did it. It was just amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if it works the way it should and the way people think that it should, it's not going to be noticed. It's going to be like, oh, that's doing what it's supposed to do. But if it doesn't click together, if it's loose and it doesn't feel sturdy, that's the first thing you're going to hear from every single person. So you have to nail it to avoid anybody actually noticing that you put in the work to make sure nobody noticed it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is absolutely crazy, but that's how our brains work, and that's what we're conditioned to do. So, the game itself, it's an app for smartphones and tablets, iOS and Android.
It is indeed, yeah, and it's free. No in-app purchases, no in-app advertising. Again, we're grumpy parents, and we like that sort of thing. So yeah, we basically wanted something where it was really parent-friendly, and we feel really child-friendly, because obviously, your child hopefully doesn't go around with an iTunes account or a credit card or something like that. So in-app purchases, it's not the most natural way for a child to go buy something. I'm sat here in San Francisco. I'm going home soon to my young lad. I've got about 8 toys and various things for him in my bag. I'm very happy to go out as a parent and go and buy physical toys in a shop.
Yeah.
I feel less comfortable saying, here's the iPad, go and download some things. I feel more comfortable looking at, say, the Kindle Fire Kids Edition, where you subscribe and it's all there and accessible. But in terms of for iOS and Android devices, I would like it either if you just buy the app outright, or in our case, you buy the toy. If it involves a physical product, just make that the part where the transaction happens. And I think a lot of parents will feel more comfortable with that. And I think it's more satisfying, to be honest, to go and buy a toy like that, which I've got to add at this point, when we're talking about buying the toy, that you can do that right now with our Kickstarter campaign. So www.swapbots.co/Kickstarter.
That's right. And of course, I'll have links in the show notes and be pushing that as hard as we possibly can.
Thank you.
So there's no purchases with the app. It's completely free. No planned microtransactions in the future if everything's going well or anything like that.
Absolutely not. No, it's something we definitely want to avoid. It's very important to us. We are, our background is software, but we want to be selling a toy, and everything else around that is, that's not how we want to operate. We want to operate the way we'd like as parents, what we're comfortable seeing our kids play with.
Right. So if somebody were to download this app without buying any of the toys first, which would be ridiculous because you should be buying these toys, but there's going to be people out there that are just curious and want to see what's going on here. Is there anything, once you download the app, that kind of shows off what you're doing, that allows people to kind of get a feel for what they would be investing in if they so choose to do so?
Well, right now, I've got to confess that there isn't at this point. Okay. But that isn't developed yet, but it is something that we have in a planning stage at the moment. At the moment, obviously, the toys are only available via the Kickstarter, so that means you're going to be buying the toys.
Right.
We want people to get a little flavour of that, so we're looking at various kind of forms of kind of one-player mini-games. There's a few different things that one of them I think is kind of top secret. It's a slightly different form of gameplay that relates to the main game but isn't direct. And I think the other thing would be just to have some kind of simple 2D promotional markers where you can't maybe play the full game, but just get that little flavour of what augmented reality is like, what it's like when it comes to life. Obviously, kind of our USP is that we are using 3D figures to come to life, not two-dimensional trading card or not an image on a screen. We are doing that. It also means, this was a great thing, obviously we're just at GDC, Game Development Conference, and I got to confidently, with absolute confidence, I could say to every person who came up, some real game industry bigwigs, and I could say we have the best lighting, shading, shadows, reflection. We have the best of any game in the world. And everybody would say, why? And I'd say, because ours is real. Because literally we have a 3D toy casting a real shadow.
Right.
We have full transparency on it, and so you can see through. And then obviously on the table itself, there's a bit of a shadow, there's a reflection. Can't get any better than real life, can you? So yeah, that's basically our USP. We want people playing with these toys, not just because that's kind of the way we've set this up to make money, but because it's such a good experience compared to playing a more conventional game or compared to, say, a two-dimensional marker. We really feel that it brings that something extra to it to have the 3D figure in the game.
Do you think like the meat and potatoes of the gaming experience is the battle mode?
Yes, it is definitely. Yeah, we've played a bit of Pokemon. That's and that's definitely been an influence. Yeah, it really is, and it works really nicely. Yeah, the way the play works is simple, that you can just play it in absolutely no. So really, really, really easy to get to grips with. But there are nuances to it, and some of the nuances are actually from the swapping the piece of the toy as you start to get to know. Okay, this toy is more powerful than the other one. I need a piece from this one and put it on here, and it's kind of changing as we develop more characters. And so yeah, that is definitely the core gameplay, but a lot of people look at this and they look at what we're doing and they see it as they see some big possibilities, but straight away, and I love this, and it's a really good stage for this technology where people get this sort of ideas. When you don't have conversations like this, then the technology is, it's probably pretty much fully developed. But people are straight away saying, couldn't you use it for education, or couldn't you use it for this, couldn't you use it for that? And everybody has these different uses for it. Right now, we're just going, look, it's just cool. We got two bots battling each other, or these cool little one-player mini games. And yeah, there's people just seeing these other possibilities because they've never interacted with a 3D object in this way before. So I think when you see a new use of technology, I was saying what I keep comparing what we're doing at the moment, how it feels when we're demoing an incredible augmented reality product like this, is it feels like when we were first developing for mobile apps. So say the App Store revolution, iPhone come along, and it comes along a few months later as an App Store, and all of a sudden, whenever you said you were in software development, people would say, right, I've got an idea for an app. That would be the next thing that would come out their mouth. They tell you their ideas. You'd be in a queue. I literally remember this quite distinctly, in a queue, where somehow somebody in the queue started. That's a line in America, actually. They don't tend to say queue.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was somebody just started talking somehow, really got chatting, and then said, oh, what do you work at? I said, oh, I work for a software development company. And they just started telling me this great idea for an app that actually sounded like Tinder. And it was probably about 8 years ago. And but when it inspires people to say that sort of thing to you, you know that you've made something that's accessible, that people can understand and get to grips with, but it isn't fully exploited yet. You haven't thought of everything, because they're there in the queue to go and get your groceries, and they are saying, I've got a better idea than that. I can do this. So
right.
Yeah, it's been really, really exciting. So basically, that is the core gameplay, is the battle gameplay. And then we have these other one-player modes as well, which we think is just kind of little arcade mini games that kind of, really, again, we've tried to design them so they feel like the video game is escaping into the environment around you. So one of them's a whack-a-mole, because we can guess what surface the toy is on, of course. So it's quite easy to make a mole then kind of appear like it's jumping out the table.
Sure.
And so again, it's really playful stuff like that. So we're just kind of playing with the medium. I wouldn't say they're quite gimmicks. I think they're a bit more solid than that. But there's nothing wrong with the G word. There's nothing wrong with
not at all.
But when technology is at its most exciting is when you say it's a gimmick. That means, again, that the technology is not fully exploited. It hasn't been fully explored.
Right.
It's a really exciting phase to be involved in the technology in that case. So it's stuff that we feel is really kind of playing around with what augmented reality is and what it can be and what it could be in the future. That's how we're looking at it anyway.
Sure. I mean, smartphones in general were a gimmick at one point, before people figured out what to do with them and how to make them vital to everyday life.
I think the first app that I downloaded was that iPint, I think it was called, where you pretended to drink a beer.
Yep.
And, that was the very definition of a gimmick, wasn't it? But literally, we were sat there, with software. I was working for a software development company at the time, and everybody gathered round it. Everybody's passing the phone around, going, "You can do this with a phone." You know, does and kind of opening your mind, going, "Okay, there must be an accelerometer in this thing," and look at the touchscreen, and it's great. And it just got you thinking, "Okay, what could I make as an app?" So I do think there's nothing wrong with that sort of thing. I think it's really, really exciting stage for technology if you're being really playful with it and just doing silly things.
Right. So the elephant in the room here, and what everybody probably is asking as they're listening to this interview is, why are you guys now feeling confident entering this market of video games combined with physical toys? You know, we've seen Disney Infinity go the way of the dodo bird. Skylanders might be in trouble. Lego Dimensions is up in the air. What makes SwapBots to you feel like, you know what, we could push past that and we could not only take the toys to life genre as it stands, but we could evolve it, we could make it something, we could carve our own path through this genre, and we could be successful?
Well, I think you've made it sound kind of, you sound like, you know, it's kind of quite bleak out there just because there's changes happening in the industry. But I mean, when we've sat down with some quite big toy companies and technology companies, and everyone seems to be saying that, okay, the toys to life industry is shifting. It's not going away. You know, people are not going to forget how it felt to connect a toy to a video game.
Right.
It's a great feeling, and it's something that works so well. And if you're talking about the NFC toys attached to a games console, that's just one form of it. So yeah, I feel that the toys to life industry is it's changing at the moment. It's, you know, it's something where it's really, really natural. For example, we've been working with augmented reality for quite a while. So we felt quite vindicated when we saw Pokemon Go doing really well last year. And then some people say to us, "Oh, hang on, there are less Pokemon Go players now," a few months later. Well, of course there is. How many of you play games for that length of time? You know, typically you move on to the next game. That's what gamers do.
Right.
You know, if you go to the movies, you don't just carry on watching the same Star Wars film forever. You go and watch a different film, you know, a month later, and then
until the next Star Wars film comes out.
Absolutely, yeah. Star Wars films. That's most of my trips to the cinema, really. But yeah, it's something that it's. I say that the naysayers will say that sort of thing, and for me, the toys to life market, I think it's ripe for more brands to enter it. I think we're a different experience for a start. We're offering, I say, 3D augmented reality. There are kind of hints and little bits of that. So I'd say Nexo Nights is the best example. A very different experience would be something like Osmo's educational tools. So there are little kind of hints of that, but nothing quite like the experience that we offer. But also the price point that we offer it at. You know, it is, for the overall experience, it is competitive. You know, it's an accessible device. It's one that you'll already have in your house. The app itself, the software is free, so you've just got to buy the toys, basically. So yeah, we feel that kind of with the technology we're using is a totally different experience, and at the price point we're doing it is, you know, a different price point to most of the other toys out there. And I just think that this industry is shifting. You know, I kind of just look at things like people talk about Infinity going, but I think Infinity was still doing well when it went. I think that was, you know, how Disney works, really. I think it didn't kind of reflect the way their licensing model usually works, where they'll typically license their IP out to other people rather than license technology into themselves. So I just feel like that wasn't necessarily a sign of, oh, this is, you know, a disaster or anything like that. And again, if Skylanders are going up and down, I mean, once there's Skylander TV series on there, bear in mind Skylanders, you know, it was made by Activision and our friends at Creator, and it's something where they weren't necessarily kind of realizing. I'd imagine, you know, I don't know this for sure, but I don't imagine them thinking it would be quite the sensation and hit, and to change the way we work with video games and the way we interact with them. I don't think they'll have quite realized that at the time, how big it could be. And
right.
So now they're only just going to start on the other collateral that you'd expect a huge toy brand to do. So they're going to get going with, say, a TV series and that sort of thing. And I applaud them for not rushing into that. They didn't do an Angry Birds and have a movie out in 5 minutes. And part of the joy of the first Angry Birds is that they didn't speak. There were little cut scenes where it's just a frog looking a bit befuddled and you're on to the next level straight away. All about the game, you know, just get game, and that's what you're playing. And for me, that's kind of how Skylanders felt. Yeah, there's a story in there and the characters, but I felt like it's all about the game, and it's all about the toys as well, obviously. And so I think it's just, you could see a real resurgence in that sort of play if it's, if they kind of successfully bring it into other mediums. I mean, you think about how far toy brands spread their wings, and the amount of places you'll find them. You'll go and buy a bucket and spade with, Barbie on the side of it or something, and we haven't got to that sort of stage with a lot of these toys like brands. They're just too new. Right. So we haven't seen them being reinvented. We haven't seen them appearing everywhere on a lunchbox or wherever. And we don't know where all this other sort of collateral and licensing, we don't know where they're going to go in the future. So I think it's really far, far too early. And it's not too crowded a market. I had the other day, somebody was saying to me, oh, you're going into a very crowded market space with Toys to Life. And this was somebody who developed apps, and there are about 2 billion of them in the App Store. I was thinking, well, you're doing okay. I think there's still room for some more cool toys, especially if they do something different, especially if we're not literally doing exactly the same thing as other Toys to Life products. I think there's plenty of room.
Right, and that's kind of what we've seen. Over the last year, we've seen Beast of Balance board game. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Absolutely. We've kind of met Alex Greenwood a couple of times.
Fantastic guy. And but we absolutely love what they're doing, really, and it's bringing that Toys to Life, that kind of physical digital interaction, to a different market, to the kind of family market and almost a party market, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah. But it's so much fun, it's absolutely perfect. That's a perfect example of how a relatively small, independent, and of course the UK company, as a Lightseekers or Playfusion, there's a few good examples. It's something that there's a lot of potential to do very different things. If you picture a Skylanders versus a Beast of Balance versus an Osmo, say, just think of those three toys. They're so radically different. That isn't a crowded market to me. That's three things that could exist. They exist in such different worlds, different price points. They have different purposes, different aims, different markets, different technologies they're using. I don't think there's any one corner of the Toys to Life market that's too crowded.
Right. And we saw that from the start of, when we started this podcast, of the Toys to Life market as we knew it at that point was a bubble that was eventually going to burst, because you can only do the same thing so many times before people just get worn out from it. And, we were big proponents of, if toys and video games working together is going to carry on past the franchises that we already, kind of started with, it was going to take companies that were going to take those ideas and evolve them and shift them and do different things with them to make people still be interested and feel engaged and not bored with what they're doing. Gameplay wise, collecting wise, the whole package needed to be new and refreshing, and that's what we saw from Beasts of Balance. It's what we've seen from Lightseekers, and that's honestly what I see from SwapBots, is taking core basic principles of Toys to Life and shifting them around to fit something new and fresh.
Definitely, and I think sometimes, and I think there's an opportunity with this with Toys to Life. I think sometimes toys can help popularize a new technology. I won't necessarily say that they are the most innovative things in the world, but if you look at something like there was the dinosaur recently that used IBM's Watson. So it's the first example of IBM's Watson to find its way into your home. Mm-hmm. And Barbie had a virtual assistant as a piece of hardware before Amazon did. It's something where there is always potential in a toy to do something really incredible. And I really do believe the Toys to Life genre, and you're giving those few examples there with the difference between, say, an NFC toy, and then you got something slightly more sophisticated, really, with something like Playfusion and Lightseekers, and then something a little bit different again with Beasts of Balance, and then I say what we're doing with Augmented Reality with SwapBots. And you look at all those different ways of interacting, combining physical and digital. There's no doubt about it that some of us, or even all of us, are going to hit on something that will change how you interact with the world. It might be that you no longer pick up a remote control to your TV or something. Instead you have this kind of cool physical object that responds to where it is in space or whatever it might be. It might completely change how we interact with things. We keep saying that with what we're doing. We see such potential in what we're doing. The idea of a 3D physical marker and moving it around a physical space, the possibilities. Discussing with somebody today about how you could use it as a creative tool, almost drawing with it and that kind of thing. And yeah, it's something that I think is so thrilling. And I think the kind of people who listen to your show and people like yourself, I honestly think that, the kind of products you support and the kind of technology that you'll be evangelizing, if that's a word, and I think it does have the potential to change how we live. I think it could have an impact on wider culture in the same way that something like that, I was mentioning the silly iBeer app will have inspired somebody. Maybe that wasn't a world-changing app in itself, but it will have inspired somebody who made something that's had a profound effect on people's lives. Imagine if the people who made Uber, that was how they got an idea to get into developing mobile apps.
Sure.
And they revolutionized how we travel around cities or how people make a living. And it's something that can have a great impact. I honestly think there are some Toys to Life products that in the years to come will be seen as seminal moments in kind of the way we interact with digital content. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes down to it, we're still talking about toys, and toys have been around as long as mankind has probably been around. Kids have been playing with toys of some sort of fashion. And these look like fun toys. Like even if the gameplay may not be for somebody, like these are still fun little things to collect. Like I could definitely see these on people's shelves, swapping around. I mean, sure, you want people to play with them, you want them to use them in the app, but I mean, just them alone, just swapping them around, especially if you have 9 characters to mix and match, and there's going to be fun to be had with these things.
Definitely. We hope people feel that way. We love having them around. As I was saying before about the designs and the artwork from them as well, it looks superb. And something really satisfying about when you design within a formula. So we've kind of, with what we're doing with these toys, I think it's the same way with music. You'll listen to music and it's kind of formulaic, and it's little tweaks to that formula is what gets people excited. And there is that with our toys. I feel like their form, they're already similar, but then how different they are within that same shape. And we've gone for that shape, to some degree we're dictated by the technology we're using. Because if you picture, we're aiming this, particular to children's market, but I say a wider market than that, but we're not limited by the processing power in these mobile devices. That's not a problem for what we're doing, but it's the camera. So we don't know what camera will be in. I always picture when I first tried an iPad, and the camera was terrible. Terrible in the original iPad, and the first few generations, really. And it's something where we don't know what the camera will be like. So we've tested it with as many different devices as we possibly can. So we've basically gone for a relatively flat shape. It's not too glossy, the design. We've made sure the colours are really popping out. There's all sorts of details in the design that the camera can pick up. Contrast between colours is really high. And so it's kind of dictated the design, but then the creativity that our wonderful design team have had within these constrictions has been amazing. And that's why, I was saying before that Drago is my favourite character. And that's it, because I just keep seeing, even though it's these same 3 cubes with each design, the creativity that's being expressed within each one. And there is kind of backstories, and there is like a narrative to everything as well, which is pretty exciting. How much of that will come out in the game at this stage, I don't know, but there is a wider story to what we're doing. And it's something that it's really, really exciting to see this coming together. And we hope that they will have a life away from the screen. That is literally the aim of them, that at least for brief moments that you go away from the screen to play with these toys. And hopefully people will be happy just to sit there and, have 9 of them or whatever, sat there, have a little collection of them.
Right.
That'd be an incredible thing.
We here at Toys for Games are incredibly curious about people's whiteboards in their offices. We couldn't crack the Lightseekers team to tell us exactly what's on their whiteboards. But I'm going to ask you, how many, you have 9 characters planned, ready to go. How many more characters and wacky designs are on this hypothetical giant whiteboard in your guys' office?
Oh, ours. Right. We've got a lot of whiteboards, but that's got a lot of boring business stuff on it. But yeah, with the I was mentioning we've got these big sheets, so they're kind of like you get a storyboard template, the way you'd get, this is what the frame looks like, and fill next to it whatever the details be. There's probably technical terms that people who work in film will be laughing at me for not knowing these things, but we kind of wanted to do a similar thing where we just produced a load of big long rolls of paper that we could stick on the wall, all had this uniform shape of a SwapBot. You could fill it in, put a name next to it and any notes you wanted. We've got a lot of them. I don't know how many, and some of them are just spectacular. And that's been there for a while. That's been kind of part of our office. It's been part of our decoration, really, for a while. And they keep getting added to, and they keep getting changed. And it's an exciting moment when one of them leaves that wall and starts to enter people's computers, and then 3D printed as a prototype or whatever. And it's really, really exciting. And that's kind of where we're at the moment, actually, is everything's being, the final 9 are being, selected. And there's so many designs. I mean, there must be 100 or something in various different states, some of them looking really complete and others are just really basic sketches, but they look so cool. I'll try and get the guys to share a few with you, particularly the ones that are already out there anyway, and show you what the original sketches look like.
Absolutely.
And I'm not there to take a photo and show you right now, but we'll get something to you so you can see it for yourself. And it's really, really cool. There's stuff everywhere. And I say there's so many kind of gameplay documents flying around, kind of narrative documents of where the storyline's going. We know a fair amount of it. We want it to have a robust backstory. We don't want something, we don't want to be doing a Star Wars where we have to get Obi-Wan to fib about it just to cover up the mistakes of the first or whatever. It's something that we want to think about from day one. And even though I'm saying we're aiming this at children, you want to have that sort of, say, Adventure Time sensibility where it's not insulting to children. It's saying, look, this is ideally aimed at kids, but believe me, any age could enjoy this.
Right.
So yeah, there's all sorts of plans. There's all sorts of things out there. I literally can't tell you specifics. I can't even think. There's so much stuff on our...
well, let me tell you this story here real quick, and you might get a kick out of this. When we had Alex on our show from Beasts of Balance about a year or so ago now, actually, it's been a while, he was joking around about how he was a big proponent of having a plush jellyfish figure in the game, and everybody else in the office told him he was crazy. They shot his idea down left and right, and he just kept saying, I want a plush jellyfish, it would be fun. And everybody's like, no, you're crazy, Alex. You may be running this company here, but you're crazy. We're not going to do that. So I'm going to ask you, is there one idea up on that board that's just so radical and so crazy, but somebody is like pushing hard for this to be, and everybody else is just shaking their head like, no, this is not going to work out?
Well, I think, this is kind of radical, but I think it's not one person pushing. I think we all want to see this. Is we want it to be where you directly kind of touch the toy and that influences it, but again, without technology in the toy. So using AR to kind of, track the movements of the toy, move it around. So that's kind of gameplay we've experimented with a little, and it's difficult. I mean, the overall, I was mentioning to you, the 3 pieces, using 3 separate markers was a real challenge when we first started doing this. Mm-hmm. That in itself was the first big challenge, where we could have just said, no, make it a one-piece toy, and our life would have been easier. I guess we could have said, make it a 2-dimensional trading card type of thing, and our life would be even more easy. Or do it the way Lego did, the way that, it's just the shield is the marker on the Nexo Knight. That would have been easy as well. So, but yeah, right now I think it's the kind of thing that we want for you to, when you have your hand on the toy, when you're moving it around, because that's what people immediately do with it.
Sure.
Don't go to the screen. When they've scanned their toy in, their hands go to the toy immediately. They watch it through the screen, but their hands are straight away playing with the toy. So we want it where the toy will respond in some way. I think that, the kind of the ideas that we've got on the drawing board, the most exciting which is exploiting that fact that people just immediately put their hand on the toy, that they reach for that rather than the screen. So I think responding to your hand, touching the toy, moving the toy around, I think that is the idea. But I'd say it's an idea that's shared by all of us.
Okay.
It's not something that anybody says no. I think people just go, that's more difficult than you think. But yeah, that's kind of next stage for it, I think. So it could happen sooner than we realised, because we surprised ourselves with getting 3 markers on one screen at once. That kind of worked. It was difficult, but it worked quicker than we thought it would. And so, yeah, that'll be the next step. Okay. After that, I have no idea. We've been experimenting with SwapBots in the HoloLens, actually, but, you know, nobody's going to have one in their homes for the time being. They're rather expensive. But Microsoft's HoloLens is a pretty cool piece of kit. So I think the next stage would be, we're building the toys for cameras that are, you know, limited in their performance. As kind of technologists, it would be amazing if we started to build it for the likes of HoloLens, for Google's Tango, Intel's RealSense, for that kind of real dedicated AR platform. I think if we started to build for the really high-end stuff, it would be no problem starting to get all sorts of things involved, and really be able to exploit what the toy could do, but one step at a time.
Exactly, one step at a time. Well, before I let you go here, we did get one email from someone in our community who was excited that you were going to be on the Toys for Games podcast. And he has some questions for you. So this is from Adam Tuttle. He writes in, and he says, just want to say how excited I truly am for SwapBots. It looks like a ton of fun, and the team behind it are just wonderful. Andy, John, Jack, Michael, Phil, Ben, and everyone else behind the scenes.
Brilliant, thank you.
So his questions, first one, he said, I saw the giant SwapBots from GDC. Have you thought about posters for them also? I could see myself collecting posters for the first time because of this game.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hello, Adam. Adam's awesome. We follow him on Twitter, and he really gets toys to life. Yeah, with yeah, I mean they do come to life. Those banners that we got there, the big cardboard banners, they've just been shipped at great cost to South by Southwest soon. And yeah, basically they come to life. So yeah, there's no reason why any promotional material can't do the same. So yeah, it would be really cool, wouldn't it? We haven't explicitly made a poster yet, but there's no reason why not. It's something I say, you know, our kind of USB is doing the 3-piece 3D markers, you know, as toys. But yeah, I still think it can work really well. And we've done some great work with 2D markers. We've done some really cool kind of artwork that comes to life by really, really good artists. So I think it'd be a shame if we didn't do that with SwapBots. Right. I think that's a top idea. Thank you.
He also wants to know, will there be chase variants in the mystery packs? For example, a black and white variant would be really cool.
Do you know what? We have discussed kind of more monochrome versions like that, actually. It's quite interesting you say that. We're looking at a few different ways to do the colour schemes. We've gone for the full colour toys for now, and there will just be the 9 toys at the moment that are planned. But yeah, I think that's a really top idea. And yeah, I say we have experimented with having less colour in the toy and having these kind of more stylish versions. For now, we felt the illusion worked better if the toy looked something like the video game character, so it was kind of still stayed true to each other, so it wasn't too large a difference. But yeah, I think there could be definitely some different variants. Would be really cool.
So nobody's going to be opening up one of their packs and finding like a solid gold SwapBot in there by accident?
Not at the moment. That's but I say at some point we've got quite a few amiibo, and there's kind of, that's partly, I don't know, you love it and hate it for this reason, don't you? But you get kind of, you know, it's really exciting when you get certain characters, isn't it, basically in certain toys. And I think we want that excitement where we want a little bit of scarcity in there. But I just think at the moment we just want people to know what they're getting. Sure. We're just establishing ourselves, and with Kickstarter, I think people got to have faith in you, haven't they? I think they've got to say, we want to know what we're getting, why we're getting it, who you are, what you're delivering. And I think we kind of have to do that. But yeah, definitely, we want those special versions at some point. That we kind of buzz off that sort of thing ourselves, so we hope people will really. I don't know if that's. I don't know. Again, I mentioned the football stickers. I just picture when we used to get kind of, you know, foil stickers and get really excited.
Right. Yeah.
Just chasing that same buzz, isn't it, with Toys to Life? When you get
big time. So keep that in mind. We're big fans of the chase variants and the hard to get collectibles. So
we'd love handmade ones by the artists, and we've spoken about kind of getting other artists that we know. So we've been working on a virtual reality project with Pete Fowler, who does Monsterism, for example. So I think we need to persuade him to come and make some SwapBots, and he's experienced with making vinyl toys, so it'll be something a little different for him. But he does know immersive technology now after working on this project with us. So yeah, it'd be really cool if we got kind of artists or other toy makers to come and make a limited edition of certain one. That's something that again has been discussed, but one step at a time. But
sure.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool thing to do.
That's exciting. Adam has one more question, and I think this is the perfect question to wrap up this talk here. Where do you see SwapBots in the next 2 to 3 years?
Well, we see it in stores. Our kind of journey at the moment, obviously, like so many companies, we've found ourselves doing a Kickstarter. We're part of the Hacks Boost Accelerator program that's based in San Francisco, and a few toys have been through that actually. And it's basically hardware startups get assistance from a really experienced squad of people. And it'll be people who've worked in retail, or it'll be people who are online marketing experts, all the people that basically can help you to reach a bigger audience, a bigger market. So yeah, we have been speaking, particularly in North America, to some of the biggest retailers. So our dream would be to be in those stores that a Target or a Best Buy or that kind of thing. And we're getting there. I don't want to sound too confident, but
sure.
We're certainly making progress on that sort of front. And yeah, I'd like it where we're on to about, our third, fourth, fifth wave of toys by that point. And we're really starting to do something really experimental. As I say, we're starting to kind of, really, we feel we're taking augmented reality to different places. What we're doing is much more sophisticated. It's not putting it down. I'm a level 27, but we're doing something sophisticated than that, because that's a relatively old platform. I'm not saying we're a bigger brand or anything like that. I don't mean that, but I just mean in terms of what we're doing with the technology, this is it's about as cutting edge as you're going to get out of a mobile phone or tablet as they exist now. So yeah, so basically I think just push the technology as hard as we possibly can, which we're kind of already doing, but yeah, really get the most out of that. And I say to be in some big stores, and ultimately it's not easy, but we're making the right connections to be able to do that. So we feel confident, and we feel the reaction from retailers or from people in the toy industry or the video game industry. Everybody seems to be saying we're doing the right thing at the right time. We're in a good space right now. Augmented reality is white hot at the moment, and people say, when will it be big? I still hear people saying that and saying, well, Pokemon Go made $500 million in a few months. Snapchat's just been sold for 24, or not sold, but IPO'd for $24 billion, I think it was.
Right.
And they've invested so heavily in augmented reality. So yeah, for me, I feel that the technology is hot right now. I think the toys life space is still hot. There'll be a few people who like to say it's not. They're people who are not involved in it generally.
Yep.
No, it's something that it's really easy just to see a report of, they sold slightly less toys last year, and you don't know what's in the pipeline, and you haven't been to these shows, and you haven't tried these cool new toys, and you don't realize that Skylanders just opened a Pandora's box. It just opened people's imagination, and the best of this genre is yet to come. So yeah, I hope that we're basically forging our own little part of the market, doing something a little bit different, pushing technology. And I say that we're in big stores. That's where I'd like to be. But if you want to buy it now, then you can back us right now and help make this future a reality. So you can back us www.swapbots.co/Kickstarter, and yeah, you can get on there and help make the future play a reality.
So the Kickstarter ends in 35 days. You're getting close to the halfway mark of your total goal, which is incredibly exciting and uplifting.
Yeah, it's so good at the show. People are signing up on the stand.
Yeah.
So exciting. It was amazing. I should get a job in a shop, shouldn't I? Just selling stuff. I can see people buying stuff all day. But no, it was something we've made. We've put, a lot of effort into it, a lot of, heart into what we're doing. And it was such a thrill. People saying, "Oh, you can buy it now, can you?" And just start getting the phone out and just start backing us. There was quite a few backers just happened there and then at GDC, just signing up right then. And it wasn't the same with Toy Fair because we weren't selling at that point. Kickstarter wasn't live at that point,
right?
And we were part of other stands. We were part of Euphoria's stand and part of Creators stand, the toy manufacturer. So yeah, that was a little bit different. But yeah, this one we were, it's great as well at GDC. We were also part of Euphoria and Unity stand. The toys were on there, and you could go and play with them on there, which was amazing. It meant we're an incredible company because there's Disney's. Is it called Create and Play, the colouring book that are AR? I think
yes. Mm-hmm.
And then there's met the chap who was one of the chaps behind that. Actually, was there on the stand, and he's British, and yeah, and then there was also Lego's Nexo Knights uses Vuforia as well. There's quite a few big brands have used Vuforia in various products, and there we were in amongst them with SwapBots right in the centre of it all. And it was quite a thrill that. So it was amazing just seeing people being really enthusiastic and signing up on the spot. It was a really, really big buzz that.
So how soon are people going to have SwapBots in their hands?
They will be delivered. It will be into the summer. Again, I haven't got the date off the top of my head, but it should be. It will be into July. It will be, but I can't think of the date off the top of my head.
Perfect. Well, Phil, thank you so much for coming on the show and explaining what SwapBots is, why people should be excited for it. I'm excited for it. I hope everybody else is.
Brilliant.
At least, if not excited, intrigued enough to look into it.
That is what I think there is no better feeling than that of intrigue. So if we can foster that in people, then we're doing all right.
So remind people again where they could go for the Kickstarter, then where they could follow you on Twitter and everything else, and just let people know how they could get a hold of you and be a part of this growing community.
Okay, yeah, if you want to back SwapBots, and why wouldn't you? It is the future of Toys to Life, we hope. You can head to www.swapbots.co/Kickstarter. You can also follow us on various social media channels just by searching for SwapBots, Twitter/SwapBots, all of that. So yeah, you can find us out there. We're usually kind of tweeting, Instagramming, sharing all these lovely pictures of our adventures as we go to these trade shows and show people this remarkable new form of augmented reality games and toys.
Perfect. Well, Phil, thank you once again. We will be watching and following the Kickstarter very closely over the next month or so to see where it ends up. We wish you and the team the best of luck. And like I said before, we would definitely love to have the real talents on at some point. But
they'll be able to talk to you, about the complex stuff.
Right. We definitely appreciate your time, though.
Featuring us really is appreciated. So, and absolutely love the show. Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll hear from you soon, and good luck with everything. And definitely appreciate your time.
Brilliant. Thank you.